What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and this is a very, very weird story. Corey Harrison of the show Pawn Stars, which almost everybody has seen, right? Even if you haven't seen it, you've probably seen the memes like, the best I can do is thoughts and prayers, or the best I can do is $1.37. You know, he has started almost 500 episodes of that show, making north of $20,000 to $30,000 an episode. He is now begging for money on the internet. And it's such a weird, bizarre thing that there's definitely something fishy going on here. And when you break down all that we know about the Harrison family, whether it's Rick Harrison, Corey, or even other stars on the show like Chum Lee, none of this makes sense. Absolutely none of this makes sense to me at all. Let's break this all down after a super quick word from this video's sponsor, Private Internet Access. Shout out to this video's sponsor, Private Internet Access. Look, if you aren't using a VPN yet, you're completely missing out, and Private Internet Access is the one I use on all of my devices. If you've been following the news, you see that censorship, websites, apps are getting shut down in certain countries, all sorts of craziness. Well, a VPN helps you never have to worry about that. Private Internet Access also protects you from the prying eyes of hackers, internet service providers, and others that can view your personal data. Perhaps also just as importantly, Private Internet Access allows you to access region-restricted content from all over the world. Streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more have different library options based on where you're located, and some shows simply cannot be accessed if you're not in the target location. Happens to me all the time. Many sports events also have regional blackouts. Well, VPNs can be a convenient way to make sure you're getting the content that you're paying for. Private Internet Access also allows you to protect an unlimited amount of devices all at the same time, so your entire household with a single subscription. And I've been working with Private Internet Access so long that I have an absolutely massive discount available to my viewers. Link in the description below. Get Private Internet Access today using my link. Save huge, protect your computers, access all the content that you've been paying for. Let's start with this article. Pawn Stars Corey Harrison turns to fans for money after near-death ordeal. Well, he crashed his motorcycle and was badly hurt. Okay, but like, let's start at the beginning. You know, how much money is this guy worth? Well, his specific salary I could never really find, but apparently Chum Lee, who is like a third tier character on the show, earns around $25,000 per episode. Let's be very generous and say he made a little bit more than that. Let's say it's just $30,000 an episode. Okay. He starred in nearly 500 episodes of the show. That would be $15 million. Let's just to be totally clear, let's say he makes less than Chum Lee, or you could say, well, he didn't make all that money in the beginning. Let's say he just made half of that. Well, let's just say he made 20,000. That's 10 million in earnings. Let's say he made 10,000. For some crazy reason, he averaged $10,000 per episode, 500 episodes. That's $5 million. On top of that, he was paid north of $50,000 reportedly just to do appearances at hotels in Las Vegas and all of the other things. On top of that, he also very famously has part ownership in the pawn shop. So he was also, I assume, paid a salary to work at the pawn shop. So on top of the multi-millions of dollars he's made on the show, on top of a salary to work at the pawn shop, on top of massive appearance fees, he's apparently dead broke. That's what I'm supposed to believe. I'm supposed to believe there's nothing going on here. It's just a crazy, sequence of events that has led him to be dead broke. Now, if I look at his GoFundMe, this is part of what it says. Now, he's asking for a random amount, $18,000. And you think, you don't have 18 grand, brother? You've made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Your dad is worth $10 million plus. I'm sure he got some inheritance from his grandfather. Where the heck is his money? And if you spent all the money, why don't you just sell some of the stuff, right? Well, apparently he was in a motorcycle accident in Mexico where he lives. Not sure why he lives in Mexico. Not sure why he doesn't have insurance. Again, the guy has tons of money. I know health insurance is expensive, and I know why regular folks don't have it. Even my health insurance is almost $1,500 a month for my wife and I. And that's with no kids and no previous medical conditions. It's expensive. Now, I know because I had to buy it on the marketplace. And I think the cheapest we could have got was like $700 a month, $700 or $800 a month. It's expensive. But a guy that has inarguably made millions and millions and millions of dollars on this show, why wouldn't you have health insurance? Like, something is very, very weird. So, right, help Corey Big Hoss Harrison recover from the devastating motorcycle accident in Mexico, he said. My name is Aaron Chambers, and Corey Harrison is one of my closest friends. If you've watched Pawn Stars, you know who Corey Big Hoss is, as the quick-witted guy behind the counter who always brings the laugh and tough negotiations. And we're going to talk about that too. Off camera, he's just Corey, loyal, proud, and independent. Someone who's always there for his friends and family. Right now, though, he needs our help more than ever. With his full knowledge and blessing, we are raising emergency funds to cover the more than $100,000 in medical bills related to the expenses after a serious motorcycle accident in Talim, Mexico that left him fighting for his life. Let's just say all of that's true. Hospitals are expensive. He spent 14 days in the hospital. He had to have multiple surgeries. If you don't have insurance, it's possible. It's possible that he could have racked up this kind of bills. Now, in my experience, hospitals, if you don't have insurance, you can generally negotiate that down. You can also not pay it and declare bankruptcy, although I don't know if medical bills go away. You could also work on a payment plan. I had a family member who was owed a bunch of money to the hospital. She was on a payment plan forever. Last summer, I just paid off her bill for her. She's my sister-in-law. But until that point, she was just basically sending the hospital as much as she could every month. It didn't affect her credit report. So he obviously could do that as well. Now, does he really owe this money to a hospital? Or does he own it to maybe the cartel? I also don't know how hospitals in Mexico work. But I know sometimes the cartel runs those. Maybe it's different. I don't know. But it seems odd to me that even if he didn't have the money, why wouldn't he just do payments like normal people do? And also, apparently, according to this GoFundMe, which I'll bring back up here, he has just $400 in the bank off a specific number. We've set a goal of $100,000 to match the immediate needs, but any amount helps bridge the gap. We've been overwhelmed by the initial outpouring of support for Corey from Corey's inner circle, friends who stepped up with loans, visits, and messages of encouragement. Now, the GoFundMe has completely flopped. It has raised $5,000 of $18,000, and I highly recommend nobody donate money to this because it's very, very, very weird. If it was $100,000, okay, if it really was $100,000 that he owes a hospital, which again, I can't really doubt or question because medical bills without insurance, very, very expensive. That said, he only has $400 in the bank. Where's the millions of dollars he made on Pawn Stars? Like, at minimum, 4 to 5 million. If and near the end, he was probably making, $1 million a year on that show. Now, he has had some problems. If you look at his complexion, he doesn't look great. He looks like, here's a recent picture. He's got all sorts of acne, which is not normal for, adults. He got a DUI. Big deal. Okay. It's not good to drink and drive. All right. Obviously, people shouldn't do it. But it's not like it was, I don't know. But the officer noticed his eyes were watery and droopy and said that he had a blank stare. Officer said he could smell a strong odor of alcohol. According to the report, Harrison, he ordered to step him out of the truck. The odor of alcohol followed his person. The officer then performed field sobriety, took him into custody. Blood sample after breathalyzer was not working properly. The results of the blood test weren't immediately available. my guess is they like let him off the hook, although they didn't take his mugshot. But if you look at the way that even the Reddit, the fans of the show, the hardest fans of the show say, I'm watching this episode where they're in Arizona. He has tons of pimples. He lost weight. Now, he did lose weight because he had lap band surgery. I know that. His teeth were yellow. I hope he's all right. He slurs his speech as well and seems somewhat unsteady. I thought he was on drugs or has some neurological issues. Unfortunately, it looks like he's either using or has some sort of health issue. You know, Chum Lee was famously busted for having tons of drugs. Concerning to see, he's definitely blasted in some of these episodes. Now, maybe he's just drunk. You know, the whole left side of his face looks paralyzed. Looks like Bell's palsy. You know, he's a meth addict. I mean, all these people are, and these are fans of the show. And when they talk about the GoFundMe for him, you know, he's riding his motorcycles in Mexico without health insurance. I'm trying not to laugh. The best I can do is $2. The best I can do is laugh. The best I can do is nothing. Meth kills. So there seems to be this running theme of him being some sort of meth addict. The best I can do is HMO. You know, Corey and Chumley got $50K each just to show up at Las Vegas nightclubs, let alone to be on episodes of the show. Better luck in your next life, dude. You know, I'm gonna have to pass on that, man. I went most of my life making less than that a year. It is definitely, you know, the best I can do is barely give an F. I'm not sure. Rick tried to help him over the years, setting up with a financial advisor and everything. Corey was just too lazy. Also, apparently after Pawn Star's contract wasn't renewed, Corey just up and left to move to Mexico and left his kids in Vegas and everything. Now, if that's true, you know, again, if he did, you know, the guy having a drug problem, moving to Mexico, all this kind of stuff, something is definitely fishy with this guy. And I would highly recommend not giving him any of your money. It is very, very odd. And the comments, you know, spends his life ripping off and underpaying his customers for their cherished items who are down bad on their luck. And now he's asking people for money. Like, he's getting zero sympathy. Let me know what you think the real story here is, because I don't think here, the best I can do is thoughts and prayers. You know, what happened to him? He's also worth like $5 million. Why is he asking for money? Celebrities ask fans to pay medical bills after his health ordeal. His dad's worth millions. Meanwhile, his dad, you know, lowballed his whole people's whole life. It's very, very odd. Something is very fishy here. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.